Everybody, and welcome back to Sticks and Stones Wood Carving. This is part 2 of carving our little Santa Claus on a rolling pin here. What I did was I changed my Dremel to this little steel ball. Okay, this is just a Dremel bit. You can get in any hardware store. I'll have to look up the exact the number on it, but that's okay. I mean, if you're looking for a ball and you're in the hardware store and you see this, or you can go into my Amazon store in the link below, and I'll make sure I have some of these posted. But this right here I'm going to use to put a bunch of little holes in the fur of the hat. I'm going to try that. I might even use my chisel on that, and I'm going to see what kind of detail I can actually get. I want to break up this beard a little bit, so I'm going to use something cylindrical shaped here, something sphere shaped, and I'm going to give this a shot, and we'll see what happens. If I don't like it, I'll change bits. Okay, let's see how this works. Turn the Dremel on here. And basically the idea here is to break up that hat on top. That's supposed to be the fur of this hat. Okay, once we paint it, you guys will see that. So I'm just going to use this little round ball to punch a bunch of holes in it. Now you can do this with your V tool. You can just make little grooves. You can do it with a small drill bit. Alright, there's lots of tools you can use for this, but well, I have this little Dremel ball here in the Dremel. I'm going to go around and I'm going to see, you know, it doesn't look too bad. Excuse me, it doesn't look too bad. I'm going to see, you know, just how much of the carving I can use this for. You guys know how that goes. When I get something in my hand, I want to keep going with it and then see how much I can actually do with it. I might be able to clean some spots up with this. I might be able to work on his nose a little, maybe put some eyebrows in. You never know, so I'll have to test it. And it seems to be working pretty good against this hard maple. I'm just trying to break up the texture here on the hat and make it insinuate fur once I paint it. And I just don't want to paint one solid band of white across the top of his head there. So this will break it up a little bit and make it look more like fur. But I could do this a lot fancier. I could show you a lot of different techniques when we go through making these Santa Clauses. So that's what I'm going to try and do instead of doing them all on one piece. Like even this beard here, I could get very, very intricate with this, but I guess this will work here. All I'm going to do here is randomly break up spots in this beard to give him a different type of beard. Now, I'm not trying to be perfect here. I'm not trying to follow really any kind of pattern or anything. I'm just trying to get a different type of effect, so when I put the paint on it, it's broken up and it looks a little bit different than just a bunch of lines for beard hair. So this is one thing I do a lot, and I'll have to sand it down and play with it. And of course I could add shading with paint and everything else, but all I'm doing, you see what I'm doing here? And this is random. This bit isn't really good to control, especially on maple. But you'll see what I mean when it's all done and I have all these little highs and lows and triangles and circles and bumps all over the wood here. Of course, where I am wanting to have more like a hair-like texture, or I want to clean up lines on his hat, I'll keep the same line. But right here the idea is, since I really don't have deep beard hair, is to take those ridges that I already have and just kind of break them up at random spots and make the carving look more interesting. Okay, I'm sorry if it's out of the camera here. I gotta try and remember that I have my camera above me, but I have to actually stand on my toes a little to look at it. And I'm not the biggest dude. So, and I will have to sand it down because this bit will burn here and there. But I'm not worried about it. I'm just having fun breaking it up, seeing what kind of effect I can come up with, really. And it'll give him a whole different beard, and then when we cover it with paint, hopefully it'll look pretty interesting. Like I said, he might not look like much at the moment, but we'll see what it looks like when it's all together. And if I don't like it, I'll change it, maybe run some lines through those, you know. Everything's about experimenting. Nothing has to be set in stone, like I said. This is very hard wood. I get burns, I get fuzzies. But that's okay, I'll sand them down and we're going to paint the thing anyway. So I'm really not caring. As a matter of fact, when we go to paint this, I'm probably going to have to paint this. Maybe I'll paint this and something else in the next video, I'll make a couple, because it may be too long of a video to do all this and paint it at the end, but I'm definitely going to paint it and make a video on painting this rolling pin and maybe the other ornament we did, or another ornament, whatever I make, because I do want to get moving and get some of these videos going for Christmas, so you guys have a bunch of different ideas of projects to try. So maybe we'll paint one or two carvings, and that'll be a whole other video. But this is definitely going to be one, because I want to show you guys how to paint a rolling pin to make him look more like a Santa. Usually I'll do the whole rolling pin red. Sometimes the dark green looks really good too for Christmas colors, and then, you know, I'll paint his face a flesh color and rose up his cheeks, and you know, but just some of the different ways to shade the hat and everything, which makes it pop. And put a couple of stars on the rolling pin, or even dots, and it dresses it up enough for Christmas, and it can be pretty festive. And there, see how I'm still breaking this up just randomly, making little triangles here and there, little teardrops where I can, if I can control the dremel to actually do what I want with this ball on it, on maple. But it is breaking it up, and it's making it just enough, it's digging just enough that it's making him look a little bit more interesting than he was, without having to put a bunch of deep lines and try to do a whole bunch of fancy beard hair that swirls all over the place. I'm just randomly going around him, making little triangles, little dips, little chunks, little wavy lines, and trying to make points at the end of them, so it'll kind of look layered when I paint it. So let's see what the whole effect looks like at the end. Really hoping you submit something for the challenge. Like I said, we're going to try and come up with even more prizes. I'm just going to keep going. I'll probably give a couple Christmas carvings away, and I definitely am going to buy something that's one nice gift for this challenge. You know, I'd like to give away probably a Dremel. I don't know how fancy the Dremel I'll be able to afford, but it depends. You know, but we're definitely going to give some cool stuff away, and you guys will definitely end up with some carvings to be eligible for if you submit me your pictures. So get working on something. I'll keep giving you ideas. It should be a good time. I'm having fun just thinking about it, because I have a lot of things I want to do, but I don't want to make it too complicated. I want to keep everything fairly simple, like this guy here. I mean, I could carve eyes in him. We'll do a quick set of. Let me use this bit and see what we can come up with here. You see the up top there, those eyes? They're not going to be too fancy, but I'll show you what we can do, and we'll keep using this bit to try and do the rest of the carving with here. Okay? Here I'm just going to add a couple of lines in his mustache with it. Like I said, I don't want to put a tool down or change a bit and slow my progress until I actually am done with that bit. And if I can keep going, I could probably use this on the nose and, you know, dig his nostrils out a little. Right here I'm just putting some lines in for the mustache. And I'll sand everything down and clean it up and get them ready for painting afterwards. But for now, we might as well finish this carving, because I want to get to other projects also, and I want to do a couple of vids on painting an ornament and a rolling pin. We'll use this guy for that. I'll show you guys how to dress him up even more once we have a basic design on it. He's even a little fancier than you'd have to do. You could have made him very simple and just painted him up, and people will still be amazed and say, wow, that's really neat. You carved a rolling pin and it's Santa Claus, you know. So don't think that you're not good enough to do any of this stuff. You can take this, we're going to see in the next video or two just how simple it is. I think I'll do one with just a sanding drum and show you guys a nice, easy Santa face that anybody can do. I don't care if it's going to be your first time carving or not. And you can just make those over and over. And have plenty of have plenty of gifts for Christmas and things that you can give away to your family. And it's always good practice for painting also. Let's use this bit to hollow his mouth out a little bit and clean up that lip. Well, it's pouring out here today, but I'm glad it's kind of warm this week and it's not snow, because we'd be buried. Like I say, I can clean up here around those eyebrows. Let's see if we can, I don't know if I want to use it on the eye. I think I'm going to make his eyebrows with it, but I'm definitely going to work on these lids and see if I can put a spot to put his eye. Let's see here. Let me show you what you can do with this. If you had the eyes the way I have them on this carving already, you know, the way we took our knife and we kind of pushed down and made that spot. Well, I made that spot so I could do something like this. See that? Now I have a lid just by putting this up. I would round underneath that and clear that down. But I'm going to make these flat, the eyeballs, as much as I can because we are painting this guy, so I'm not going to carve the whole eye. But this is a technique you can use. And get some quick eyelids in and just by making a line with this little ball bit. And of course you could take a V-tool and run it through there. You could take a smaller bit and you could really dig out that line we just made with the ball. But this is sufficient. I mean, this is enough, especially if you're going to throw some paint on them. And it's also good for cleaning up them little dug up spots right here if I go over it lightly. So you can either dig with this and carve, or you can use it for cleaning. Like right here, I can kind of start where I want to put the wings of his nose here. And even smooth that down and into that line, and it'll insinuate his nose a little bit better. And I'd probably take a cone bit or another bit after that and really, you know, set those in. Could even use my knife. But for now, we'll start shaping it and then try and round this off a little bit and start forming a little bit of a nostril underneath there, because this is a rounded bit, so it's easy to make round shapes with it. And it's just a simple little dremel bit. That's all I'm using here. And that right there could be sufficient. Now, you got to have your spots underneath the eyes and try and make them symmetrical. But once you put paint on them, you know. And I could even take the cone bit after this, which I think I'll do just for demo purposes, and show you how to actually give him a little eyeball there to paint. I'm still using this because I don't want to put it down yet, when I still see some bare spots that need some detail. So we'll add some hair there. We'll put a couple of grooves on this side. Trying to make sure I'm keeping my hand in the camera, because I usually like to do this on my lap. That's the most comfortable for me. So it's kind of holding it away from your body and trying to keep it in the camera and do it. So my carving skills won't be the best when I'm doing a lot of these videos, just because of that. But this should be enough to explain and give you guys the idea and the techniques of what I'm trying to show you, at least, and hopefully you'll pick up a tip or two. This is great for making a little bit of grooves in his forehead and then running another tool, either your cone bit or a V-tool, and get a couple of creases or wrinkles in his forehead. And I always tend to raise one eyebrow a little bit more than the other and give him some type of expression by using those eyes. Always eyelids or eyebrows. Okay, now that right there doesn't look too bad. He's starting to shape up pretty good. He actually doesn't look grumpy, and he doesn't look mean or anything. You can make him kind of a joyful Santa, a happy guy. I'm going to switch to the cone bit. Let's see if I can get some kind of detail in this nose here. This is a little bit big for my taste to try and do, but it can be done, and it'll be enough, because once we paint, it'll set the paint right in there, and it'll make that nose stand out, and all the detail you'll be able to see fine, just by adding a couple of darker, deeper lines here with the cone bit. Now really, I could go over this whole carving with this bit. I could go in the holes up top. I could do his eyelids, his eyebrows, like right here. If I start messing with that line, like I said, we can always accent it a little bit more with the cone bit and shape it down even more and separate, so we could start putting some kind of eyeball in there. There's a lot of drag and maple here trying to do this. It'll probably be a little bit off, but we can fix that. And we can fix it with paint also, so I'm not too worried about it. And if one eye's closed a little more than the other, it just gives him a different look anyway. I could run this through all the mustache hair if I want. I could outline the cheeks. I'm not really going to go nuts with the cone bit on this carving. I could do the whole beard with this and really make it look fancy, and then make all the little hairs pretty much look the same. But for now, I'm just going to leave the beard, I think, the way it is. And maybe just highlight a little around his mustache so we know that's turned up. Maybe give him some eyebrows with it. And I'm definitely going to come down right here where that hair comes out from underneath his hat, right here on the sides of his face. I want to accent that a little bit more so once we paint it, we don't lose any of that detail. So the cone bit's really good for that. Again, them little, we already made ridges up here with our little round balls, so now I'll just run the cone bit through there, and he's got some wrinkles. Let's see if we can just use this to give him a couple of eyebrows. And just give him a couple of lines on each side. Not much room for any crow's feet or anything. And I really could just take this bit and poke 2 holes and give him eyeballs, but that really doesn't work too well if you're going to paint them, because then you have to paint inside the holes and around them and everything. So like I said, I'm probably going to shape some little eyeball and then just kind of leave it, and then I'll just finish the rest of the eye with just a little bit of paint. We'll stick a pupil in with paint. Let's just try and make these a little bit more even. I use the side of this bit sometimes to shave. Right, and let's just try and get a little bit of a bottom line in there. And then we'll try to make those as even as we can. And I can clean them up with my knife and shave them down a little bit, or another bit. And then we'll use paint to even everything out. And for now, I'm just going to try and get 2 little quick eyes in there. And again, it's going to be on how we paint them and the techniques we use, so he doesn't look super mean or anything, you know. It might look a little funky at the beginning until I figure out what I want to do next. But for now, we're just going to work on getting some wood in there, and it's shaped rounded so that we can kind of have a place to paint our eyes. We'll give them a little wrinkle or 2 under those. I'm not going real deep or for a lot of major wrinkles. Like I said, I'm not trying to make a super fancy Santa Claus here. Just a couple character lines here and there. Don't forget, start submitting your carvings for the challenge. We have a month, plenty of time to make a little Santa Claus ornament or something, and submit it to my email, sticksandstonescarvings@gmail.com. Sticks is S-T-I-X. If you'd like to donate for some bigger prizes, you can always use the thanks button at the top of every video. You can submit to my PayPal at sticksandstoneswoodcarving@gmail.com. And this right here will be good, and we'll paint them up in another video, and we'll see how that goes. I hope you enjoyed this one. Make sure you keep watching for more videos and for us to paint this guy up. And we'll try and cover some techniques on how to do that and make some simple things a little bit more fancier and sellable or better looking gifts. And we'll leave it there, and I'll see you in the next video. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye now.